If lab-grown meat becomes cheaper than real meat and tastes the same, how likely are you to eat it instead? Genuinely asking because I don't know. Is the lab-grown meat going to include all the cuts of a cow? Or are they just trying to produce ground chuck for making hamburger? Tastes the same and cheaper. Sure. No question about it. Can't think of a reason I would insist on anything different. This would be a more interesting question for the *vegans*. No animal product. No cruelty. Just all the taste, texture, and nutrition of real meat. Would they eat it? As long as it's indistinguishable from the original stuff. With no health concerns. Not more than actual meat anyway. I definitely would. Assuming the environmental footprint is actually smaller, heck yes. Definitely. Especially if it's the type grown with stem cells. Specifying because I'm unsure if there's other types. Which is genetically identical to normal meat. It's also better for the planet, economy, society, and it's got ethical benefits too. As a vegetarian, if it's healthy, tastes the same and came from no animal exploitation, then hell yeah, I'm having my first steak in 7 years lol. As a long-term vegan, I would 100% eat lab-grown meat. It would check off all the ethical requirements of low environmental impact and limited to no animal suffering. It would be a win-win. You can bet a big chunk of society will make it a point to never touch it and politicize it and make it another aspect of their culture warrior identity to eat real meat. Very likely. I don't like the idea of huge factory farms where the animals suffer. Oh fuck yeah. I remember being back in high school. Loving the taste of meat but learning about factory farming and being horrified. Wondering if we could just engineer headless livestock bodies with no nervous systems. Have them run on treadmills all day. People can call it mad science all they want. If it reduces needless cruelty, fucking do it. Pretty likely, I'm not that fussy about where it comes from. Absolutely would eat it. More ethical. Better for the environment. Less likely to be contaminated. I'm guessing. Yes. Please. 100%. The leap that would be making for humanity and wildlife would be huge, and even our environment. The issue is there will always be the purists who will never touch lab-grown meat, but at least if we can cut the slaughtering down drastically, then it's a huge win. Very likely. I have no issue with it and don't like how cruel the meat industry is. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I think I saw that lab-grown meat is a lot more energy and resource efficient than raising animals. If that is the case, I would definitely prefer it. The real question is, would you eat lab-grown human meat? It's still meat if I can still eat pork, beef, deer, or if we can grow meat from outside the norm. Without killing the animals, that would be cool. If it tastes good and costs marginally more, I'll buy it now. Assuming the ecological and ethical advantages are real. Meat is delicious murder. And horribly inefficient. Meat substitutes have come a long way, but they're not quite there and often much more costly. But give Beyond Meat and Impossible products a try. They really are quite good. I'll still want a real rack of ribs here and there though. To be honest, even if it tasted slightly different but mostly comparable, I'd still switch over. I already don't eat meat for ethical reasons. And I would absolutely eat lab-grown meat. Give it to me now. The only negative I can see is that it makes meat quite homogeneous. If every steak can be 3D printed to be the best steak in existence, then how do steakhouses or similar places compete? But considering that 99.999999% of meat is not eaten to be the best cut, but to simply fill people's diets, then I absolutely welcome it as an alternative to animal suffering. No question about it, I would probably never eat another animal again. After having been a vegetarian for my entire adult life, I don't think I could ever go back to eating meat again, even if it became cruelty-free. However, I do think that lab-grown meat is great for those who want to eat meat without contributing to the industrial killing of animals. And also great, of course, to use as food for cats, dogs and other pets who need to eat meat. Hell yes. Cheaper and tasting the same is reason enough. But the fact it would bypass all cruelty and hugely save on land usage is the kicker. Give me the Franken meat. Depends on which option has the lower carbon footprint. If they can do it and get actual stearic acid-based fats in there, I'm all in. Meat without fat is bland. 100%, even if it's more expensive and tastes a little different. I don't want to eat animals but have a hard time stopping. I have serious doubts it will ever taste exactly the same. It's pure muscle, no fat, and in cooking meat, the fat is responsible for a great deal of the flavor. If you're making some kind of ground meat containing dish, tacos, chili, sure, you won't notice. But there's no matching a grill-fired steak, pork chops, lamb chops, bratwurst, or even burger. For that matter, if it's completely indistinguishable and nutritious, I'm all in. I think lab-grown meat will eventually be indistinguishable from real meat when used in processed foods like burgers and sausages. It will never replicate a high-quality steak though. As someone who has been vegetarian for over 25 years, I would have no problem eating meat that was grown in a lab. Imagine if Taco Bell got more expensive because there weren't any cheap unwanted meat offcuts anymore. Taco Bell is already one of the best vegetarian fast food places emo. So much so that they took some meat options off the menu. Taco Bell did get more expensive. Remember when they actually had good items on the dollar menu? And burritos we like $1.50 and stuff. My understanding is that as of now they're just trying to get ground meats to market. Nailing different cuts is definitely a goal the industry has, though, using stem cells or stencils. Aleph Farms in Israel is working on many different cuts, and has already announced a rib-eye steak. https alephfarmsmedium.com/aleph-farms- and the technion-worlds-first-cultivated-ribeye-steak-4651. 68A 435A1 edit. Wow. Tough crowd here. I guess this isn't the best looking steak. But I was pretty damn impressed to see this as a first draft. Personally, I'm looking forward to seeing what the ready-for-market version looks like. I have a hard time seeing them produce a good pork belly, or a brisket, or a whole chicken to roast in a lab. With current technology, it's basically all ground meat. You can't actually grow fat. You can only get big chunks of protein to replicate. So they grow protein and grind it with additional fat so it tastes right. I'd be willing to bet that blending lab cow into traditional meat burgers is going to be the way to ease people into it. I'm eating meat only in 3 situations. It's party or something. I get meat for free that would go to waste otherwise. Or I get those questionable sausages for so cheap I doubt they even have meat in them. Yeah. It's pretty telling how many people in this thread are like, sure. But only if it's *exactly * like real meat. Really? If it's only 90% as good, but cheaper and isn't destroying the planet, that's not good enough for you? Lol. Look at diamonds. Lab-grown diamonds are exactly the same as Earth-mined diamonds and much cheaper. Same chemical composition. Identical down to an atomic level. Yet people have a strong preference for what they consider real diamonds. Companies will find a way to market something more expensive and more harmful to the planet as being better and more desirable. I get they want to know how many people would prefer a non-meat alternative. But saying, it's the exact same but cheaper, isn't giving any reason other than, no. I want my food slaughtered. Exactly. The question should be, how likely are you to eat lab-grown meat over real meat if it tasted the same but cost 40% more? Or how likely are you to eat lab meat that is the same cost of real meat but tastes worse and has a poor texture? This question is just like, how likely would you accept a $1,000 bonus? But in order to get it, you have to accept an extra week of vacation too. I think in the end it boils down to people thinking of anything chemical as unnatural and therefore not good. Nutritional value would need to be the same or better as well. Preferably without using artificial vitamins to do so. I guess actual nutritional content. No good if it is cheap and tastes like meat if it's garbage for you. Greater than can't think of a reason I would insist on anything different. One reason would be texture. You might be able to replicate ground beef easily. But a single ribeye cut with a thick fat cap will be harder. Agreed. 100%. If it tastes the same, is just as nutritious and likely cheaper to produce, there's no reason to not switch. Essentially, I'm a vegetarian. Eaten meat maybe 3 times in the last 2 years. And I'd definitely prefer this as an option. I can't see my meat intake increasing significantly as I'm happy with my diet now and have had this discussion with my vegan brother. His answer was, yeah. Maybe at a barbecue or something, but I wouldn't buy it regularly.